President Duterte is turning 73 tomorrow. Mr. Duterte will continue his tradition of quietly celebrating his birthday in his home in Davao City. Special Assistant to the President Bongo has said President Duterte will spend the day with his family. Last year, the President celebrated his birthday in a similar fashion with a simple family get-together.
Make this picture, Bernard.
I'm making it video.
Everybody, please sing with me lang. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you.
Nearly 2 years after former Senator Bongbong Marcos brought his electoral fight to the Supreme Court, the Presidential Electoral Tribunal is now all set for the much-awaited recount. Our Anjo Alimario takes us to the venue where the action will happen.
Who would have thought that the battle for the vice presidency would end up here, inside a gymnasium? Located in the Supreme Court compound, the place has been converted into a revision hall.
It took us a while to renovate this because, as you all know, we have to comply by some of the rules and regulations imposed by government, which is the 9184, the Government Procurement Act. So finally, this was completed sometime, including the air conditioning system. Tapos talagang the total renovation, it was completed sometime about a month ago.
The tedious process of dissecting each ballot box will happen here. 50 tables for 50 revision committees. But the Presidential Electoral Tribunal Ad Hoc Committee says they can only set up 40 committees when the recount begins on April 2nd. As it is, they need to hire 10 more revisers.
There are actually 3 chairs per table because that represents the 3 members of the revision committee. Every committee will be given 1 ballot box.
Each committee is composed of a head reviser, who is an employee of the tribunal, and 1 representative for the 2 candidates for the contested position in the May elections. That would be Vice President Leni Robredo, who was proclaimed winner, and former Senator Bongbong Marcos, who filed the electoral protest. Head revisers are carefully picked.
The psych test was the one we had used to test on bias and prejudice.
The revision committees face a huge task. They must process the results of over 5,000 clustered precincts from 3 pilot provinces chosen by Marcos: Camarines Sur, Iloilo, and Negros Oriental.
The ballots will be counted, the votes of the parties will be segregated, the objections and claims of the parties based on the ballots will be recorded, and these objections or claims on the ballots will be marked.
In case of objections or claims by either parties, the tribunal would have the last say. The job of revision committees is no joke, as they would be under time pressure. For less than 300 ballots, they must finish the recount in 5.5 hours. For 300 to 699 ballots, they only have a little more than 8 hours. And for more than 700 ballots, they're given 11 hours. This is the first time ever that the Presidential Electoral Tribunal will be doing a recount. Unfortunately, the counting is off limits to media. The tribunal will only issue announcements if the need arises. But one thing's certain, it's a go on April 2nd. Anjo Alimario, CNN Philippines.
Speaking to the media after an event in Cebu City today, Vice President Leni Robredo says she feels relieved that the Electoral Tribunal is all set for the recount. President Duterte has ordered to extend assistance to AMBU-CIAF members who surrendered to the government. This as he continues to lobby for the passage of the Bangsamoro Basic Law, which Congress had rejected in the previous administration. Our senior correspondent David Santos tells us more.
It has been 4 years since the historic signing of a peace agreement between the government and the More Islamic Liberation Front, and on the eve of its anniversary, President Duterte makes another pitch for the proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law.
I want to have a result of this by the end of the year.
The BBL, now pending in both houses of Congress, will be the enabling law of the comprehensive agreement on the Bangsamoro. The bill proposes to create a political entity under a parliamentary form to replace the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao. Its proponents are hoping it will be passed this May when Congress resumes its session.
Passing the BBL is one thing, facing it for review before the Supreme Court is another thing.
But lawmakers want to manage expectations. They warn the bill will not be passed in its entirety, as proposed by the Bangsamoro Transition Commission, the 21-member body that drafted the bill. The MILF is keeping an eye on these amendments.
Kung very substantive, then I think medyo mahirap the part of the MILF na tanggapin.
The president wants the BBL to be inclusive and not spare any tribe or faction. He even wants the dreaded terror group Abu Sayyaf to be part of it. In a recent cabinet meeting, the president issued a presidential directive to provide government assistance, including housing and livelihood programs, to Abu Sayyaf bandits who surrender peacefully to the government.
Ang inaano lang ni Presidente, if we are assisting those NPAs who are coming back, who have come back to the fold of the law, it should not deprive other groups like the Abu Sayyaf.
Defense Chief Delfin Lorenzana supports the president's move, but points out the directive will not cover bandits with standing arrest warrants. 4 years since the MILF smoked the peace pipe, observers say there is still reason to hope and celebrate, even if the BBL's future remains unclear.
We're still lucky that the MILF and the government are holding on to that ceasefire. But we realize really that there are other threats in Mindanao, especially with what happened in Marawi.
The MILF assures it will stick it out with a peace agreement no matter what happens. The government, it says, will have to keep its end of the bargain. David Santos, CNN Philippines.
Week is one of the busiest travel season for airports, bus terminals, and ports across the country. Let's now check the situation at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. Our Makoy Popioco joins us live from Terminal 3. Makoy, how's the situation there?
Hi, Cherry. Well, the travel frenzy has slowed down here at NAIA Terminal 3. No more long lines there at the entrance to the departure area and also here at the check-in counter. Surprisingly, even the yellow taxi lane is almost empty. But all the lines, or the long passenger lines, are there at the white taxi bay. Around 50 passengers are waiting for white taxis that arrive in longer interval. Passenger Don De Ingusan flew from Sydney, Australia to have a vacation with his family here in Manila. He says he waited for more than 30 minutes at the immigration counter. He says he expected the airport to be crowded, which is why he packed less clothes but brought more patience. Other travelers share his sentiment.
Ito, pila-pila. Kahit papano umuusad. Yun lang.
Gano'n na po kayo katagal naghihintay?
Siguro mga kalahating oras na. Kalahating oras na. Kasi ang konti ng mga dating ng ng taxi. Tingnan mo, wala na naman ulit.
Manila International Airport Authority General Manager Ed Monreal assures their crackdown on abusive taxi drivers continues. Monreal encourages passengers who have complaints to contact them. He says they have recently arrested another overcharging taxi driver, in addition to 91 other impounded taxis reported over the weekend. Now, Cherry, we're also seeing lesser activity here at the domestic section of NAIA Terminal 3. The check-in counters are almost empty as well at this time. Cherry.
Okay, thank you, Makoy, reporting live from NAIA Terminal 3. Malacanang suspends classes in public schools and work in government offices under the executive branch beginning 12 noon tomorrow, Holy Wednesday. The palace says this is to give the public time to observe the Holy Week. Other branches of government, private schools, and institutions are given the option to declare suspension or not. The Supreme Court also announced half-day work tomorrow for all courts nationwide. Almost 12,000 policemen will be assigned around Metro Manila to ensure peace and order this Holy Week. The military will also deploy hundreds of soldiers to augment forces. Cherry Mercado. We begin with the story for the riding public. After app-based transport service Grab bought into its competitor Uber, commuters are asking if this means an increase in fares. Transport regulators are allaying this concern, saying they're on top of the situation. Our senior correspondent Cecil Lardizabal reports.
Reyna Tuazon prefers riding Grab or Uber when she goes to work. But now she's thinking twice about it with the news of the two companies merging as one.
Main concern ko kasi right now, I have both apps, so Grab, Uber. So ang ginagawa ko ngayon, kung alin yung mas mababa yung rate, dun ako. So ngayon, kung maging isa na lang siya, so wala nang option.
Other office goers have the same concern.
Pwedeng mas mataas na po siya. Wala na po kaming titignan na comparison. Kaya po, we're resorting to Grab and then Uber. Pinagko-compare po namin ang pricing. So far, kasi si Grab, lagi siyang may promo. So, lagi siyang mas mababa. Ngayon lang, baka since kukunin niya na si Uber, mawala na siya.
While some say they will miss Uber.
Kasi sa Uber dati, di sila namimili ng pasahero. Yung sa Grab kasi medyo katulad ko, tiga Marikina ako. From here, medyo traffic. So, kinakancel nila.
LTFRB board member Eileen Lizada says they are taking steps to address the matter.
Rest assured that the LTFRB will strictly and continuously monitor the fare structure of Grab, because on their own they cannot do fare hikes on their own.
Authorities say they're making sure Grab won't increase its fare or take advantage of the situation. In fact, attorney Eileen Lizada says there are 3 transport network companies, or TNCs, applying for accreditation.
Senator Win Gatchalian warns about the buyout. He says in the absence of any competition, the Philippine Competition Commission, or PCC, should keep a close watch on any possible anti-competitive practices. Lizada is coordinating with Chairman Arsenio Balisacan of the PCC, the government agency that oversees fair competition in the market. She says Balisacan mentioned there are 2 requirements for the merger. One is if Uber has more than 2 billion pesos of assets and finances, and 2, if the acquiring party or its mother unit has at least 5 billion pesos in assets.
The definitive agreement needs to be reviewed by PCC if the 2 conditions are present.
Once they meet the threshold, they should notify the PCC within 30 days of signing the deal. For now, Uber driver partners are advised to go to the mega tent in Libis, Quezon City to get a Grab accreditation. Uber riders must have their Grab apps on their phone by April 8th. Cecil Ardizabal, CNN Philippines.
We are seeing plenty of reactions online about Grab's acquisition of Uber's Southeast Asia operations. On Facebook, RJ Magno thinks this is bad for consumers because there will be no competition in the ride-sharing market, which would result to a monopoly. He hopes a Filipino company can come in and fill the void. Netizen Joy Ocampo Ramos points out Uber is pro-passengers while Grab is pro-drivers. She explains giving ride-hailing service drivers the option to refuse passengers make them no different from taxi drivers. This netizen meanwhile believes now is the best time for the Philippines to build its own Uber and not allow Grab to dominate the market. Join the conversation by visiting our website at cnnphilippines.com or by following us on social media at CNN Philippines. For his part, Laban consumer head Vic Dimagiba says it's all about giving customers choices. Speaking to CNN Philippines, Dimagiba says transport regulators should ensure that there will be competition among ride-sharing companies to keep fares and service affordable to passengers.